My name is Sean Paul Reyes. I'm an independent journalist. My company's name is Long Island Audit Inc. I travel around the country from New York to California and everywhere in between investigating corruption. I have never, ever seen corruption like Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Super mayor, super corrupt. Your police department threatened your police chief, who's not even qualified to be the police chief, can't even pass a simple exam, not even qualified, pulled out his handcuffs to try and intimidate me with
Tiffany Henyard, the contentious mayor of Dolton, Illinois, is being accused of abusing her authority, especially in relation to the village police department, by both residents and trustees. Lewis Lacey, the deputy police chief, was recently indicted on federal charges involving bankruptcy fraud, and this led to an escalation in the matter when Henyard attempted to reappoint him.
Another officer threatened to throw me into a cell. There's over 15,000 people here watching you live, Mayor Henyard, and you're being a coward. You won't even look me in the eye. 15,000 people and you're disrespectful. 15,000 people watching you here. I've gone to every single state almost, and I've seen the worst of the worst politicians, police officers from Connecticut, everywhere in between. And I've never seen a police department this bad. It needs to be disbanded. You talk about these receipts.
Locals and government representatives are furious, alleging that Henyard is using the police force as a weapon and taking revenge on political rivals.
Historic misuse of taxpayer funds to the sum of, first of all, using the local police as her own personal security detail, costing up to $1 million. She's also being accused of misusing taxpayer money to pay for lavish trips for herself and collecting a combined salary with the supervisor position and her mayor position of $287,000. This is a small town in Illinois, 20,000 people. The highest salary in our U.S. government is $400,000, and she's making just under $300,000. And some of these allegations, or accusations I should say, are so serious that even some local businesses are saying that their licenses and things that they need are not getting renewed after they made decisions to cut off ongoing financial donations to her campaign. So it's a pretty big deal, and this is one of the things that she was questioned on. She has this foundation, a cancer research foundation, that people are also wanting an investigation into, as she has not disclosed how she has used taxpayer money in that.
The recurring disputes have drawn harsh condemnation from many quarters, with some dubbing Henyard the worst mayor in America and voicing worries about Dolton's governance and corruption.
Idea of some of the antics that Tiffany will pull off. This is her at a local public meeting, dressed up as an infamous criminal kingpin named Nino Brown.
Nobody knows something. Don't nobody know nothing? Yeah. Nobody. Nobody? Trustees? Nobody? Nobody knows something.
As things were mounting and as questions were not being answered, the town voted on a unanimous resolution to probe and look at some of those financial details. And Tiffany herself, who, by the way, calls herself the super mayor, vetoed that resolution.
Strangely enough, Mayor Henyard has been accused of enlisting the help of Dolton police officers further obfuscating the distinction between work-related and leisure activities in a personal music video.
She's also recorded a music video with taxpayer dollars. It's not even her own song, it's just her singing over it. This is a legit comedy show. I can't wait for the documentary about this. Look at her with the cops. And the crazy thing is, all of the things I've mentioned, it's only the tip of the iceberg with her. I could do a 10-part series on Tiffany. She is the most iconic politician running right now. She just does what she wants, and then she just keeps it moving. She goes, I'm gonna keep spending taxpayer dollars. I'm gonna have to do a 10-part series on this woman because she may be the go.
And the thing is, it's not just about misusing taxpayer funds. That's bad enough on the surface. But again, this is a small town of 20,000 people. All of these accusations that she's racking up are causing this town to go into unmanageable debt. And the people are crying out for help. Here are a few of these people. In fact, I believe they're looking at right now a $2 million deficit, which in a big city or a big town might not be that big of a deal, but when you are the village of Dolton in the middle of Illinois, it's a...
One of the most alarming accusations leveled against Mayor Tiffany Henyard is that she misused the Dolton Police Department for private benefit. According to reports, Henyard was accused of allocating police resources to further her own agenda. For example, there are allegations that she has utilized police officers as personal escorts and security for unofficial events, disregarding the needs of the community. This is alleged to have drained public resources and eroded village confidence in law enforcement.
If she loses her re-election to be mayor, the mayor's salary will be decreased from $225,000 to $25,000. But if she wins, it will stay the same. When I read that, I realized I had to learn everything about this woman. And as it turns out, the 90% pay cut doesn't even crack the top 10 of the most corrupt things that this woman has done in a short year that she's been the mayor of Dolton, Illinois. If you're on a highway near Dolton, Illinois, you will see billboards of Tiffany Henyard. These are all billboards that are paid for by taxpayers, and they advertise things such as senior services. Tiffany recently went to Las Vegas with a few of her friends to attend a conference. While there, she spent all of this money on airfare, hotels, and then money at restaurants like Ruth Chris's, Cafe Hollywood, Hot and Juicy Crawfish. And this was all paid for by the taxpayers because she was there attending a conference. She also spent a fair amount of money at Bubba Gump's shrimp company, and then she brought the hat that she bought there to her town council when she was being questioned about the money she spent in Las Vegas. Afterwards, Tiffany was asked by the local news station about her time in Las Vegas. I just want to remind you before you watch this clip, this is not...
Tiffany Henyard, the victim, who has not been identified publicly, reported the incident to local authorities, but the investigation was allegedly stymied. The mayor of a small village is suspected of covering up a sexual assault case involving one of her staff. According to insiders, Henyard used her power to shield her employee from legal consequences by obstructing a thorough investigation of the situation while she was leading the group.
This young lady said she went to the mayor to try and, explain what had happened. The mayor said, "I'll take care of this. Don't worry." And then she gets put on FMLA and loses her job. Could something have been done differently by the mayor, who she looked up to, this young lady?
Absolutely. She herself should have launched an investigation. An investigation. This happened on your watch. You should have taken action immediately. Absolutely. Absolutely. You have a daughter. Do you not feel anything? Absolutely. To do that, you have a daughter. You have an obligation to this village. You are the leader. You are the leader. To let something like that go by and not get involved. You are just as much, oh my God. Everybody should be prosecuted to the full extent. Everyone involved, even if you knew about it and you covered it up, you as well should take part of this blame here. You should take fault.
Among the accusations against Tiffany Henyard is that she channeled public cash into a Julia while utilizing village tax money to finance her personal business endeavors. Good Burger is a company that is thought to be a front for personal financial gain, rather than a respectable enterprise boosting the local economy.
I swear to God, I cannot make this up. You will not believe what I just found out about Tiffany Henyard, the mayor from Dolton, who is apparently on the run. To recap, she has not been seen since last Monday when she kicked people out of what was supposed to be a public trustee forum. Then on Monday, we found out that she has misappropriated about $7 million of the city's funds. Now, me being the nosy investigator that I am, I decided to do a background check on Tiffany just to see what I could find out. And I kid you not, she had 3 LLCs involuntarily dissolved in May of 2024. So the government shut down her LLCs after the FBI investigation started, and guess what they were called? And I swear, I can't make this up. One of them was called Good Burger, and the other one was called Mondo Burger. As in the 1997 Keenan Kel Good Burger and their rival evil burger joint in the movie Mondo Burger. Which I have a feeling probably received some pretty hefty checks from the city of Dolton, Illinois over the last 2 years. And not gonna lie, it seems more than likely she's going under the name Aisha right now.
Concerns over Henry's financial openness have been voiced by trustees and residents. Transactions requesting responsibility for the embezzlement of public funds.
I have a feeling probably received some pretty hefty checks from the city of Dolton, Illinois over the last 2 years. And not gonna lie, it seems more than likely she's going under the name Aisha right now while she's on the run, because she had a real estate agency called Aisha Properties back in the day, which is her middle name. I also have to clarify, we don't know if she's actually on the run. People are just suspecting.
According to reports, Tiffany Henyard regularly gave police officers instructions to perform errands for her using village resources intended for public safety. She is also accused of utilizing police personnel and cars for personal gain. Individual requirements, critics claim that because of this abuse of authority, the village's ability to enforce the law was weakened, and officers were pulled from their regular responsibilities to do unnecessary jobs for the M.
Say anything. I got receipts, you show papers, you shuffle them around, and you don't do anything. Lori Lightfoot's not gonna get you, the FBI's gonna get you, and they're gonna throw you in the federal penitentiary. That day is gonna come. Lori Lightfoot, for everybody here from Dolton and everybody watching, she has no legal authority to do anything. It's a waste of time. She has a waste of time and money. It's gonna cost you at least $30,000, and she has no subpoena power. She's getting paid $400 an hour. $30,000 is 72 hours. She'll be done in 2 weeks. And then what is she gonna find? That this woman that we all know she's corrupt is corrupt? She's gonna ask Tiffany Henyard for documents that she's never provided to anybody else? You think she's gonna hand it over to Lori Lightfoot? She's not. Newsflash, she's not. Tiffany Henyard she has a police vehicle as her personal vehicle. That's against state law. State law. We should call the police right now and have them confiscate her vehicle. South Holland Police needs to confiscate her Tahoe because it has lights, it has a municipal police plate, and Thornton Township's not allowed to have, per state statute, is not allowed to have a police vehicle. And she's driving around in an illegal police vehicle. Probably the person driving is not even law enforcement, impersonating a police officer. 16,800 people watching, Mayor Henyard, Supervisor Henyard, whatever you want to call yourself, Crooked Henyard. And you don't even have the guts to see them, look them in the eye. You don't even have the guts because you're a coward and you're a tyrant. I've seen people like you before, but not on your level. And you are going to be put in a federal penitentiary one day. Bring those receipts. You're going to need them. You can read them in your jail cell. Have the life.
Tiffany Henyard's firing of the village's police head, who was allegedly looking into eating, is another major controversy. Claims that Henyard engaged in financial malfeasance, mainly with reference to the inappropriate use of village finances.
Extremely important to understand. This was one of Tiffany Henyard's most loyal supporters. Of all the things that's been going on, he has been the one enabling her behavior. He was a part of it. There's tons of videos on his channel talking about all the shady things that Keith Freeman has done in his past, also as administrator of the township, having both positions here. And it's very interesting how things are getting worse for both of them. And if you are the feds, that's exactly what you do. You try to get some of the more senior, the lieutenants of the administration, you hit them with something that was pretty obvious because the guy can't file for bankruptcy properly. And now you probably give him some options. What are you going to do to save your own ass?
According to sources within the police department, Henyard abruptly fired the chief as the inquiry gained traction, which led many people to conclude that, since the termination was an overt attempt to obstruct the investigation, there is growing conjecture that Henyard is hiding illegal activity, which is further undermining public confidence in her leadership.
Days ago, she fired the chief of police because he was investigating all of those credit card receipts and all those claims of her funneling taxpayer dollars into her privately owned cancer awareness charity, which you cannot do. And in one of those investigations that the chief of police was investigating, it stated here in this tweet, and shout out to this person for tweeting this, they said Mayor Tiffany Henyard is one of the most corrupt ever. She actually hired a child offender, overpays her police officers. She overpays her police officers to be her security, which what do you need that much security for? You're a mayor of a town with about 20,000 people. One of the officers was paid $13,000 in 2 weeks for 300 hours of overtime. Because nobody believes that. Nobody believes that anybody worked 300 hours of overtime. So this has to be investigated because it looks like these numbers were being padded. So the chief of police, or the ex-chief of police, had his attorney investigate these claims, and they're standing behind them that there were allegations of corruption, and he was investigating them. Now I'm going to do a little bit more digging because I think there's a lot more to know about this Tiffany Henyard story because anybody who shows up to a city town hall meeting dressed like Nino Brown is definitely doing something that they...
According to insiders, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, has apparently shown interest in the issue as the charges mount, looking into any possible financial mismanagement and other illicit activity related to Tiffany Henyard.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bode well. I was watching it from a distance, and let me say something. Dolton is entirely too small. I'm in a 70,000 person town.
20,000 people.
I'm in a 70,000 person town, and so it's a third the size of my town. And we're not on national news for some stuff like this. That can never be good. And what I hope for the sister, because I don't want to see nobody get in trouble, okay? Don't start none, won't be none. I don't want the sister to get in trouble. What I'm hoping is all we're talking about is them being petty and them being childish and her being disrespectful. There's something to be said about that, but hopefully that's all it is. The problem is, if you look at the questions that are being asked and not necessarily answered of impropriety, and you're looking at the lack of transparency, being transparent, and she starts everything that she's saying with everything she does well for the community. So it's like, hey, we did this, this, and this, so it's okay if I don't let you know what I'm doing. If it's okay if I'm less than transparent, or in a worst case scenario, for those that believe that way, and she hasn't been convicted of anything, it's okay that I steal. And she is drawing entirely too much heat.
There is a growing assumption that if Henyard does not arrive, even though the investigation specifics are still being kept hidden, the inquiry will surely uncover the truth if it is carried out.
It is right now. If she doesn't give up the ghost with those citizens, somebody gonna come in and get the information one way or the other, okay? Whether it's the inspector general, whether it's the state attorney general, or whether it's the federal government. Somebody is going to get this information, and maybe she is staking her place in the ground where she basically comes off like a Robin Hood that people are going to support no matter what. Well, that's not necessarily going to help her. On the other hand, you've got other folks, maybe like the city clerk, for instance, that are staking their place in the ground, saying at some point, this woman's going to fall, and it's going to be about who's on her side in perception and who's not.
Takes on a new level with the potential for federal prosecutions, indicating significant legal repercussions should the accusations turn out to be genuine.
Supermayor might be going to a supermax prison very soon. The FBI issued multiple subpoenas in the last week, and now we know that a federal grand jury has been investigating Tiffany Henyard for corruption since November. I do not know what more they need to see. The residents of the town literally had a rally called Take Our Township Back last week, It won't be her first time behind bars, but unlike when she was arrested for vehicle trespass, and she is now facing 22 criminal charges, and her own lawyer just dropped out because guess what? She hasn't paid her bills, and the city now owes as much as $20 million. This is what happens when people who did not earn their position of authority get access to power. If you didn't know, while she was voted mayor back in 2021, the vast majority of her income and power really comes from her position as township supervisor, where she makes over $220,000 a year. But she only has that huge salary because she inherited it with the position from the predecessor who passed away. Tiffany actually passed an incredibly shady ordinance, so if somebody defeated her in the next election, their salary would only be $25,000. So it's literally not worth it to run against her. You know it's a bad situation when the residents think the best idea is to bring in Lori Lightfoot for $400 an hour. It's so frustrating how slow the wheels of justice turn, but it feels like this story is starting to accelerate, and I hope that Dolton citizens don't have to wait much longer to see her in an orange pantsuit.
Tiffany Henyard is still incredibly confident in her role as mayor and her prospects of being elected, even in the face of growing accusations and ongoing investigations. Henyard, who was re-elected, has described herself as the Dream Monica in statements and public appearances, a description that demonstrates her conviction and self-assurance.